When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
If your roof starts to leak or your floor's really squeak, you live in a money pit. Money pit.
If your basement needs a pump or your place looks like a dump, you live in a money pit. Money pit. Pick up the telephone.
Fix up your home sweet home by calling 888-MONEY-PIT.
Coast to coast and floorboards to shingles, this is the Money Pit. I'm Leslie Segretti, and with me is Jim Kenzie. What's up, Jim?
Oh, man, you name it, it's happening, Leslie. Everything good on your end?
I'm kind of scared to just name something, because then I don't want it to happen unless it's awesome.
It's all good, young lady.
Good. You know, all good here, full into soccer season, planning things around the house, trying to get everything organized before all of a sudden it's the holidays, and then it's, thoroughly bananas.
You ain't kidding. Year after year.
Woof.
You entertain way more than I do, and it's nuts for me.
I mean, it's not that I entertain. I just have this weird idea because I guess it's because what I do for a living. I make things pretty. I design scenery. I build stuff. So I feel the need to carry that over into my home. And like in my mind, I set this thing up where I'm like, it's October 1st. I don't have the decorations out yet. So it's like I set these sort of unrealistic expectations and deadlines.
Right.
But then I do them like a banana. And then I'm like, why am I so tired? But that's what we do, and I think it's such a wonderful time of year, and I know my kids are getting older, but I love to sort of create this magic, and I think even when Henry's in college and Charlie's in high school, I'm still going to do it.
Yeah, it's just who you are, Les.
Yeah, well, it's this great time of year. It's spooky season. It's cozy season. It's just kind of the best. And the benefit of this time of year is the weather is kind of like outstanding. Low humidity. Everything feels nice and breezy. Open the windows, relax, or do a ton of yard work, do some work inside. It's kind of like the best conditions. So there's a lot to take care of and a lot to suggest. So let's get to it. The heating system, it's going to start working for everybody because the colder weather is coming. So don't wait for that first frost to kind of find out that your system is not working or something's not right. Coming up, we're going to walk you through sort of a quick heating system checkup that can help keep your home warm, safe, energy efficient throughout the whole winter. Whether you have got a furnace, a boiler, or even a heat pump, we're going to have practical tips to make sure that your system fires up when you need it the most. And fireplaces, I think I forgot if we ever mentioned this. October is sort of fire safety month. I feel like the fall in general is fire safety season. So we're going to talk about fireplaces and fire safety because there are practical tips that every household should know, and it doesn't just pertain to the use of the fireplace. It's sort of general fire safety tips, life-saving, important information, home escape plan, and what you need to be checking today to prevent disaster. A couple of years ago, we had a family in town who very tragically all died with the house fire. And I think that sort of springboarded a safety check in our home. Every bedroom has a safety ladder now. Every kid in the house knows how and where to get out and kind of practice it. So we'll talk about those tips. And are you planning to spook up your front yard this Halloween? Well, whether you are going to go full haunted house or maybe you're just adding a few eerie touches, we have some creative ideas to decorate your outdoor space safely for the season. It really is the best time of year, guys, for all things inside and out. So let's make each weekend count. Give us a call right now at 888-MONEY-PIT. Jim, who's up first?
Heading out to Delaware, Leslie, we've got Vincent on the line with a plaster issue. Tell us what's cracking up at your money pit.
My cousin has a two-story house. It's all brick. It was built in the 1930s. Upstairs in the bedroom, there's a crack going from the ceiling to the floor in both outside corners. And there's a crack going from the corner to the center of the room. And in front of the house, the brick is pulling away from the molding on the floor.
So for a house that was built in the 30s, this kind of cracking isn't all that uncommon. Has it always been this way, or do you think this is more of a recent development?
Last time I was talking with him, he showed me the house. He says, look, do you have any idea what's causing these cracks? To me, it looks like the walls are separating from the building, especially in the front between the molding and the outside wall. You get a flashlight, look down there and see the brick.
Well, I think if you think that it's recent, then you've got two options at this point. One of which would be to hire an ASHI certified professional home inspector. And that's a guy who's a member of the American Society of Home Inspectors. And that's really important because those are the guys that are the pros in the business and they're certified. The second option might be to hire a structural engineer. It's going to be a more expensive option, but if it turns out to be something that you need because if it's a serious problem, that structural engineer is actually going to specify the repair, then you can have it corrected and then you can have that engineer certify that that repair was done correctly. If you think this is active, that's important information and I would have it looked at by a professional. I would not mess around with a contractor or anybody like that. I would have it looked at by someone who has nothing to gain from giving you repair advice, only diagnostic advice, and you want expert diagnostic advice for that because they're going to tell you what exactly is going on.
Yes, and what was the abbreviation for that home inspector?
Yeah, that was ASHI, ASHI. It stands for the American Society of Home Inspectors. You can go to ASHI.org, you put in your zip code, and you get a list of all of these certified home inspectors in your area.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, good luck, Vince. Thanks again for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Okay, Leslie, we've got Karen in Pennsylvania. She's dealing with some mold in her basement. Tell us what's happening there, Karen.
My mom has a house that the basement is, we put it up for sale and nobody noticed this. And one person came in and tore wallpaper off the wall. And we noticed that it had mold from the floor to the ceiling and even in the inner walls. So I had a gentleman come and look at it, and he said it would take $30,000 plus. And he would come in, remove all the interior walls, all the wood, the paneling, everything off the wall, down to the bare. He would have a chemical put on, clean it, and then it would never come back. And then the second guy came in, and he said he would rip everything out, as he said. He would coat it, clean it, and guarantee it that if it did come back, he'd fix it for $10,000.
Yeah, I don't know that you need either of those guys. I don't think you have enough information yet, and I don't know that you're necessarily talking to the right people at this point in time with this project. I know mold seems scary. You're seeing a lot of it. But I think you need to get a professional mold mitigator to come in because these first two contractors might just be kind of sizing you up for how much money they can get from you. Mm-hmm. So the first thing you would want to do is test the mold to figure out what kind of mold it is. And that's done, there's really a couple of easy ways for you to test that mold. You take a sample, send it out to a lab, and they tell you what you've got. And then you can come up with a design for a mitigation plan around that. We really need to get a sense of how much mold is there. It's a little bit different because it's mold behind the wallpaper. You may not need to pull all of this out. You might be able to treat it right in place, but definitely ripping everything out doesn't sit right with me. How much mold are we talking about here? Can you sort of guesstimate the square footage? Is it like a 4 by 4 foot space or what?
We're going to say all the outer walls because we since went around and pulled off some wallpaper here and moved some paneling. And we also, the first guy that came in for $30,000 brought in a light, and to me it looked like a black light. But he brought the light in and said it was a special light, and it can tell what type mold it was and where the mold was.
That's a completely wrong process there. Do not call that guy back. It's completely wrong, okay? That guy was not giving you accurate information. If he comes in with this magical light that tells you it's mold, that doesn't sound right in any way, shape, or form. And they can't actually tell you what kind of mold it is unless they do a test on a physical sample.
Oh, good.
It's a mold test. You've got to get one. It gets sent out to a lab. It gets read. And then you can formulate a plan for that exact type of mold and come up with really what you need for your home.
Versus the snake oil salesman she's been dealing with, sounds like.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially when you hear the words mold. People get nervous.
Right.
And not everybody has the best intentions, and certainly money is appealing in some of these situations. And so if they see you're nervous and they're not the most honest of folks, and then they kind of start pitching you something, it might not be the right plan of attack. So definitely start with a test and then go from there. Hey, Money Pit Podcast fans, you want to help us out? Well, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we're going to give you a virtual high five. Plus, you'll be helping us spread the word about our show. Just go to moneypit.com/review. Guys, it's a great temperature out there right now, but it will be dropping soon. But before all of that happens, this time right now is the perfect chance to give your windows a once over. So you want to start by unlocking and gently opening and closing each one. If they're sticky or drafty, you might just need some new weather stripping or some caulk. And don't forget about the screens. Fall is when you should be cleaning them and storing them away. Don't leave them out to get battered by winter storms. And while you're at it, wipe down the sills, check for any moisture damage. Clean windows don't just look good, they actually let in more light and keep your energy bills in check. So let's keep that cozy heat inside where it belongs. All right, it's time to help one of you guys out. Jim, who's standing by?
All right, Leslie, now we've got Mike on the line in Super Chilly, Chicago. He's got an insulation question appropriately. What's going on, Mike?
My wife and I are first-time homeowners. We bought a house last year that was built in 1910. It is a classic Chicago 2-flat that was converted into a single-family home. It's a flat roof made out of brick. I have a scoping camera that I've been poking around and behind nooks and crannies and walls and things like that. I'm pretty convinced that there's no insulation in the walls. So what are my options here? Moisture is a concern. It's my understanding that brick needs to breathe. Do we have an option of putting insulation in? If so, what type? What concerns might there be? What questions might we want to ask? And it's a matter of, do you need to tear out the drywall and fill the insulation in, or can it just be packed in the cavity there? So those are the types of questions I'm wading through. What are my options? What it might look like? How would you go about this? Thanks so much.
All right, Mike. First of all, I can't even believe that you own a borescope. I mean, Tom had one, and the only reason I even know what the heck it is because it's a home inspector's tool, and Tom would talk about it often. It's sort of a tool where you take a camera and you kind of look into a wall around the outlet. You can see what's going on sort of behind. You can see how everything's made, which is interesting. But of course, now you're going to find out that there's a lot of things going on behind the walls. And typically with brick, you can't really insulate brick that well. You've got limited options here. The fact that you have a double wall is all the insulation really you're going to get. So if you want to insulate those walls, your only option is to take the drywall down inside the house and then apply a rigid foam insulation, kind of like a sheet product, to the walls and then put the drywall back on. And that's something that's obviously like a pretty disruptive project. There's a lot of work to be done, but the other thing that you could do is focus on all the things that you can control. So for example, let's talk about drafts. You can seal those windows inside and out by caulking the exterior perimeter and the interior perimeter. You can caulk both sides of the trim on the inside to cut down on the drafts. You could replace the windows if they're super drafty, obviously, and go with a more Energy Star option. If you have outlets and light switches that are on an exterior wall, you want to make sure that you're putting gaskets behind those outlets and those switches. And then, you can find these gaskets in a ton of different shapes and sizes. They're not expensive at all. And those will seal out the drafts on the exterior walls as well. And you mentioned you had some insulation in the attic. I would sort of quantify that and see how much insulation you have and make sure you're maximizing what you can have up there. I realize it might be a narrow space, but doing these sort of things will help keep you more comfortable at home. So good luck with the house and good luck with the project. I mean, we're glad you're getting out there and enjoying the show and, working with some cool tools. Well, as the temperatures drop, one of the worst surprises you can get is turning on your heat and getting nothing. That is why now is the time to give your heating system a little TLC. Whether you rely on a furnace, a boiler, or a heat pump, a quick seasonal checkup can go a long way in making sure your system runs safely, efficiently, and reliably all winter long. So first up, let's start with the filter. You do need to change your furnace filter. It is the easiest and most effective thing that you can be doing. A dirty filter is going to restrict that airflow. It's then going to restrain the system, and it makes it work harder to heat your home, and that's going to drive up your energy bills. Next, you want to be testing the thermostat. Switch over to heating mode, raise that temperature, If the system does not respond within a minute or two, or the air coming from the vents isn't warm, you could have a problem that needs a professional checkout. Next, you want to clean up around the unit. So whether you've got a furnace in the basement or a heat pump outside, you want to make sure there's at least 2 feet of clearance around the unit. Remove any dust, any debris, certainly anything that's flammable nearby. Get out of there. Now, your vents and your radiators. You want to vacuum dust from the floor vents and the baseboards. You want to make sure that no furniture is blocking them, and you want to check for consistent airflow. If you have a radiator, that should be bled to release that trapped air and ensure even heat. Not a difficult project, but if you haven't done the bleeding of the vent ever, or it's been a long time, you might find some stickiness, so just work gently and carefully so you don't break anything. You also want to schedule a professional tune-up. And this is super important if you have an older system. That pro is going to inspect the heat exchanger for cracks. They're going to test gas connections, and they're going to make sure the ignition system is working safely. It's a small investment, but that does prevent big repairs later. And of course, you don't want to forget the carbon monoxide. Make sure you're installing fresh batteries in those CO detectors, and maybe upgrade to one with a sealed 10-year battery in it if you don't already have one of those. I mean, heating systems, especially ones that are gas and oil, are one of the leading causes of household CO leaks. So take care of it and be notified. And if you hear that detector go off, get the heck out. Don't be like, meh, I don't smell anything. Just leave and then figure it out after. A quick heating checkup now is definitely going to mean that you're in a warmer, safer, and more comfortable home down the road. Plus, your system will run more efficiently and maybe even extend its life. These are all super helpful things to keep you cozy all winter long. So get to it, you guys. All right, Jim, who do we have up next?
All right, Leslie, now we have Sue, who's got some green stuff growing on her roof. Is it lettuce, you think, maybe? I don't know. What's going on out there, Sue?
What size copper flashing to put on the roof to prevent mold buildup?
All right, well, roof salad. I mean, that's not something you ever want. So, Sue, here's some tips to get rid of all that green stuff. And it's probably not mold. It's more likely moss that's growing up there. And the more sunlight that you can get to the roof, the lesser the chance that it will be able to take hold and continue to grow. So sunlight's definitely your best. But if you want to get rid of the moss, copper flashing is great because it sort of releases some of its metal along, out of it every time it rains on it. And for some reason, the copper is like a natural enemy of moss and mildew, and it will do its best to kind of clean it as it trickles down the roof. You may see, though, like a streaky pattern because sometimes, you can tell when it's doing that because you can see these lines kind of coming off the ridge vent and cleaning the roof as it goes. So sometimes it looks more dirty even though it's clean. It's not like you're going to get a smooth, clean finish there. Now, you could wash the roof with a mildicide, which would be like a bleach and water, or there are products that are made specifically to be anti-mildew, anti-mold for the roof surface. It's just a matter of being comfortable with getting up there or having like a high power enough sprayer to do the trick. And you want to make sure that you're protecting the plants and everything around it because some of them are not plant safe and the animals as well. But that's definitely what's going on there. And you should be able to tackle this with the flashing, with the roof cleaning, with a good roof wash, and that should do the trick. All right? Thanks so much, Sue, for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
All right, guys, let's talk about one of the hardest working spots in your house. It's the entryway. So whether you've got a full-on mudroom or just a small nook, now is the time to prep it for the season. And this is sort of when I start to organize like this front entry, because we're definitely sort of in between warm and cool weather. You're still getting warmer days, but you're still getting chilly days and evenings as well. So if you have an area that you can add a boot tray, do that. Swap in a heavier duty mat just because there's going to be more mud and there's going to be more dirt. And I know for us, there's soccer cleats that are just bringing in a ton of stuff. I like to also keep a basket handy that has gloves, hats, scarves. If you've got the space, try to have one for every member of the family so there's no fighting over whose glove is who or you took mine, yada, yada. Everybody can have their own. And if you have wall space, hooks, shelves, they are your best friends this time of year. A tidy entryway kind of makes the morning go smoother. Kids get out the door on time, maybe. Adults get to work on time, maybe. I'm not going to say having an organized foyer is going to kind of solve everything, but it certainly makes it a lot easier. All right, guys?
Heck yeah.
All right. It's time to lend a hand out there. Jim, who's next?
All right, Leslie, let's welcome Tim, who's got a noise issue. What's going on, Tim?
I'm going to be putting down luxury vinyl flooring in my house. I live in a house that has a cement slab. What we're going to do is we're going to buy the vinyl flooring that has the sound dampener on the back already. We'd like to know if we need to put down an additional sound barrier on top of the cement floor before we put the vinyl flooring down. Is it recommended or is it even needed at all?
I don't know, Tim. I don't think you really need any type of sound deadener because it's going right on top of concrete, unless it's going on, unless the sound you're hearing or the noise is coming from underneath the slab. The only thing, first of all, I would think that you need to do is to use padding, and that can be built into the luxury vinyl plank itself. It just kind of makes a softer floor to walk on. And also sometimes people complain that they hear kind of like a clicking, popping sound when it comes to these types of floors as the panels start to loosen up over time. And if you put that padding underneath, you don't really have that same type of movement. So I don't think you need to add any additional soundproofing in that space. I think what comes on the floor itself is all you're going to need. And it really is going to be a great project that you're going to love finishing. So once you're done, let's hope it stays quiet and stays really good looking for a long time. Thanks so much, Tim. Well, October isn't just about cozy fires and pumpkin spice. It's also Fire Prevention Month. And while fireplaces and candles might be top of mind, fire safety goes way beyond open flames. Now, every home should take a few simple but crucial steps to reduce risk and prepare for the unexpected. So first up, check those smoke detectors. It's not enough that you have them. They need to work, and you need to know they work. So test all smoke alarms monthly, replace those batteries annually, and replace the entire unit every 10 years. Know your escape plan. Don't have one? Make one, you guys. Does everybody in your house know how to get out fast in the case of a fire? Well, entry-level homes should have 2 clear exits, and families should designate a meeting spot outside. Practice your plan at least once a year. As I mentioned in the open, we have those escape ladders. Every bedroom has them. You can't test them or practice with them because once you open them, they're kind of done. But I've shown the kids, this is what you do. This is the window you're going to stick it on. So it's go over all of this stuff because in the event of emergency, you don't want panic to set in. Now, in the kitchen, cooking fires are the #1 cause of home fires. So never leave food unattended on the stovetop. Keep flammable materials away from the burners, and always have a fire extinguisher nearby and know how to use it. We don't have a fire extinguisher in the kitchen. Well, I kind of do, tucked beside the fridge, but right next to the cook area, I have one of those fire blankets.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I open the cabinet in the event of an emergency, yank that strap, and throw it over whatever is in the need. I keep one by the fireplace. I keep one in the kitchen, in addition to having a fire extinguisher.
Well, we see eye to eye on something, Leslie.
Yeah, we see eye to eye on a lot of things, Jim.
I know.
Notice, though, we don't discuss politics here.
Right. We stayed friends for how many years because of that?
We've been friends for a quarter of a century.
Ooh.
Woo!
Okay, so who's up next, Les?
Wait, hold on. hold on. We still have to talk about dryers.
I know. The dryer's actually a big problem. People don't realize it.
I can't even believe it. Dryers and lint, especially, major fire hazard. I can't even believe, we have that little apartment in Vermont I rented out. How many times they come back and the lint in the dryer is fully loaded onto that. And I'm like, what are these people doing? You're doing your wash, clean it out like you would at home. You have to clean that lint trap after every single load. And at least once a year, disconnect the dryer, clean out the vent duct with a long brush or a vacuum attachment. I think there's one called like Gardas Lint Eater. You can get them online. They connect to a bunch of different pipes with a fuzzy brush at the end, and you go from the exterior in, and you put, I believe, the drill on reverse. It's been a little bit since I've done this. And it kind of pulls it all out. And the amount of lint that comes out of your house.
Disgusting.
It's fascinating and disgusting, but it is such a safety, improvement to do this chore. Just adding these simple steps, guys, it's going to keep your home and your family protected. It's super important info for everybody to have and to practice. So just do it. Come up with it this weekend and make sure it's on everybody's radar. Guys, I can't even believe how dark it's getting so much earlier every day. I know come December, it'll start flipping the other direction, but I kind of like the dark afternoons. So take this time to rethink your lighting, especially on the cozy corners. Maybe swap out cooler toned bulbs for warm white LEDs. I do hate those cool LED bulbs. It's too blue. It's too bright. It's too harsh. So put in those warm white lights. You're going to feel the space become more inviting as the sun sets. You can even add, and this is such a great trick. There's so many beautiful plug-in sconces. You can add a sconce, on either side of the television, in the dining room, going up a hallway, wherever you have an outlet. You can really add some adorable lighting to the areas of the home. And there are even plug-in sconces for the exterior. So if electricity isn't your jam when it comes to home improvements, you can definitely add some personality. And when we had our block party, I put those little cafe lights across the front lawn, because I feel like we're always sitting out there in the dark. But I got those stakes that go in the ground that sort of you attach the string lights to.
Right.
And the day after the block party, I kind of just picked up the stakes and then walked into the backyard and went boop. And now the backyard's like beautifully lit for the fall season.
Oh, cool.
So it really is lovely. And you can do these things to just kind of enhance your trick-or-treating look, or just for the fall season, or just for the holidays, or who knows, you might like it year round. So take this time to make it more inviting.
I'm Scott Hansen, host of NFL Red Zone. Lowe's knows Sundays hit different when you earn them. We've got you covered with outdoor power equipment from Cobalt and everything you need to weatherproof your deck with Trex decking. Plus, with lawn care from Scott's and, of course, Pit Boss grills and accessories, you can get a home field advantage all season long. So get to Lowe's, get it done, and earn your Sunday. Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
Jack Daniels is proudly served in fine establishments, questionable joints, and everywhere in between. So, no matter where you go, in every bar, you'll always know someone by name.
Jack. Jack and Coke?
Shot of Jack?
Jack Daniels, please.
Right away.
That's what makes Jack, Jack.
Please drink responsibly. Responsibility.org. Jack Daniels and Old No. 7 are registered trademarks. Tennessee whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. Jack Daniel Distillery. Lynchburg, Tennessee.
Well, if there's one season that gives your creative muscles a real workout, it's Halloween. And let's be honest, the outside of your house is prime real estate for bringing the spook factor. Whether you're aiming for classic fall charm with pumpkins and mums, or you've got visions of full-blown haunted house vibes, this is your moment. But before you start climbing ladders with skeletons in one hand and a string of lights in the other, let's talk about how to decorate for Halloween safely, smartly, and with some serious style. Now, lighting is everything. If you want that eerie glow, but kind of at the same time, you don't want those trick-or-treaters tripping over garden hoses or extension cords in the dark, a great solution here are LED lanterns, solar lights tucked into planters, and battery-powered string lights. You're going to get that moody atmospheric light without a fire hazard or electrical overload. And speaking of overload, inflatables are fun, but make sure you're using outdoor-rated solid quartz, and you're not kind of daisy chaining 10 things into one outlet, and definitely don't leave them running while you're out. I mean, listen, nobody wants to be the house with the limp ghost kind of just slumped over your bushes all afternoon and day. I always leave mine on because I hate that. But you want to be safe. You want to make sure that the power is working correctly and nothing is sort of overdrafting your house. So when you're not there, just unplug them. People will forgive you for the slumped over skeleton, I promise. Now, while you're hanging up giant spiders, faux cobwebs, all the stuff you want to put up on the house, let's be safe on the ladder. We all want that sort of Instagram-worthy look, but it's not worth a sprained ankle. So grab a buddy, keep your body centered, and don't do that, I'm going to just kind of lean 1 more inch thing. We've all been there.
Right.
I literally turned into like an elderly Long Island lady one day when my boyfriend was cleaning the gutters, and he kind of just reached too far and fell off the ladder. And it wasn't a very high fall.
It doesn't need to be.
But I came running outside and I was like, oh my God. And he was like, oh my gosh, I did not recognize your voice. So don't get hurt and don't force your spouse to adapt a whole accent that they never even knew they had. Now, let's talk about decor style, you guys. Not every spooky scene has to be gore and guts. Some of the best Halloween setups are simple, charming. Think hay bales, a few well-placed pumpkins, maybe a vintage lantern or two. You can add in some sort of sound effects and maybe a fog machine. And it's kind of an instant vibe that works for everybody. Kids, teenagers, pets. You kind of have to be like universally inviting on Halloween. And if you've got trick-or-treaters coming your way, think about flow. You want to keep those walkways clear. Make sure the decorations aren't blocking stairs or porches, and maybe skip that extra jumpy motion sensor scare if you know that little kids are going to be coming up to the house. So go ahead, get spooky. Just remember, with a little planning and the right safety steps, your outdoor space can be the perfect blend of haunted and homey. Whether it's creepy or cozy, your house is going to be the best Halloween stop this year. Now throw in some king-size candy bars, you guys, and you are the #1 house on the block.
Big hit.
Right? All right, Jim, let's see who's next.
Sherry in Iowa, you've got the Money Pit. How can we help you today?
Been living in my house for like 20 years, and the house is probably 50 years old. Is it worthwhile to have the air ducts or the furnace ducts cleaned?
Well, unless you're having a problem, I mean, what most people drop the ball is that they don't replace their filters soon enough. So if you're not doing that and you haven't replaced your filters recently, then that would be kind of the first place I start. But I don't think you necessarily have to get your ducts cleaned. There's such a wide variety of quality when it comes to air filters for your heating and cooling systems. And I would tell you to invest in a very good quality filter and make sure that you're changing it on a regular basis. Sometimes it's quarterly, sometimes they're once a month. Definitely pay attention to the manufacturer's directions.
The furnace guy comes in the spring and the fall, and he changes it then.
Yeah, but when your furnace service is happening, which is usually twice a year, like you say, that's generally not enough. Again, depending on that type of filter you have, you're probably going to be changing that filter every couple of months. So at the minimum, 4 times a year, but it could be more frequently than that. I know with my central air conditioning system, I have to change that return duct filter once a month. So there's a lot of different variances depending on the filter that you're using at your home.
Okay, thank you.
Well, now is Jim's favorite part of the Money Pit Hour.
I really have to drop in a fanfare or something, Leslie, right here. It'd be perfect. There you go. Hey, I don't have to do it now. Thanks. We got an email from George in Mississippi. He reached out saying he just bought a new house and the floor in the bedroom and living room seemed to be buckled just a little bit. He says, I'd like to level the floor from the basement below, but I don't want to create problems with the walls and the ceiling cracking overhead, etc. What is the best way to level a floor without impacting what's above?
You know, that's a very good point, and it's a good thing that you're considering this, George, because when you're doing this kind of work, if you were to try to level a floor and you do that from below, say, like a crawl space of a basement, everything above that floor goes up with it. And if you took, months, years, decades even for those upper floors to settle, now you're in this basement and you're trying to push it back to where it was originally, It's not the best because you could break plumbing, joints could fall apart, you can cause leaks, you can stress out electrical wires. I mean, truly a lot of bad stuff can happen. So you're going to end up with more cracks to fix than you know what to do with. So you're kind of better off leaving that floor alone. The only time that I would recommend you try to fix a saggy floor is if you're convinced that it was active and it was still going, sort of getting worse and worse and worse over time. Now, if you do have a floor that's at a level and you need a solution for that, leveling compound is a good option, and you can actually use some leveling compound to kind of even cover a 10-inch difference. You kind of do the floor on one end if it's level and it'll look normal, and you kind of level it off to the part that goes wonky, and it creates this beautiful level playing surface. Now, that said, this is more for like a concrete floor or something underneath a flooring. Like, you're not going to put this on top of hardwood. You're going to put this in a place where you're then putting a flooring over it, but you're leveling that base there. This way you don't really have to jack up that whole floor, but you want to make sure that it's not an active movement, that it's not becoming worse over time. If it were, it would be a different set of problems. You'd want to bring in a structural engineer to say like, ooh, this is why that's happening and here's how we fix it. But if not, you're good to go with a leveling compound. All right. Hope that helps you out, George. Do we have time for the next one, Jimmy?
All right, Leslie, I'm going to try to squeeze this in on you quick. Robert writes he has a dual shower head that has a mount that sticks on the shower wall, but he can't get it to stay. Any ideas?
Yeah, you know what you could try? I mean, you kind of sometimes have to think out of the box here, especially when it comes to like a wet environment like a shower. If you went to like an automotive or a boat supply, you can find something called, I think it's like mounting or attachment tape. It's completely waterproof. You use it to attach molding or something to the outside of a car or to a boat. And it's very, very strong. And it works great because it's meant for that environment. But you have to be careful. You want to make sure you clean that spot thoroughly with alcohol, get soap, everything off of it so that you know you're getting the best adhesion there. And that should really do the trick. And that's going to get you exactly what you want. And you can trim that tape so that it fits exactly behind that mounting bracket. And that should do it. All right. Good luck with that. Well, that's a wrap on this hour of the Money Pit. We started off with a smart seasonal checklist to make sure your heating system is good to go before the frost hits. Then we shifted gears to fire safety, and not just the fireplace kind. We covered everything from testing smoke and carbon monoxide detectors to the often overlooked importance of having a fire escape plan. And finally, because we love a little fun, we leaned into the Halloween spirit. Whether you're going to go full haunted mansion or just sprinkling in some spooky touches, we talked about how to deck out your yard safely so you can enjoy all those October thrills without the spills. So as the season changes, take a little time to get your home ready, warm, safe, and maybe just a little bit haunted. Thanks for hanging out with us, and remember, you can do it yourself, but you don't have to do it alone. See you next week.
On the Money Pit Radio Show. On the Money Pit Radio Show. Pick up the telephone, fix up your home sweet home by calling 888 Money Pit. Woo!